I mean, I think that was the best game of the season. The Sabres get the win over Ottawa. Some individuals had their best nights of the season. I think overall it was their best game of the year. We'll talk about what happened and some big lineup decisions that Lindy Ruff made in this game coming up here in the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, and thanks for tuning in today to the Locked On Sabres podcast and making us your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel as well. Stinky Joe DiBiase coming to you here on a Wednesday after a win for the Buffalo Sabres. We will talk about the 5-1 win over Ottawa. Go through some of the goals, break it down, talk about some of the lineup stuff that we saw from this game and what it could mean going forward, and everything that we saw from Tuesday night's win for Buffalo in front of a pretty, it's a Tuesday crowd, right? Like at this point in the Sabres build and their season being what it is, 12,000 fans in the arena, at least what's what the announced attendance was. Whoever was there, my brother was one of them. Like, hey, you got a great game. You got a great game to go to. And it was against a team that is in the division that some still care about. I know I still have disdain for Ottawa. So overall, great night. Oh, great night. We'll go through the numbers for today's game as well. I'm excited to break down these goals, goal by goal. So stay tuned in the second segment for today's show for that. But overall, it was their best game. That was their best game of the year on all fronts. Had they been more dominant puck possession wise, shot attempt wise in other games? Sure. But for a team effort like that from the get-go, there was energy, there was skill on display. They were finishing their chances, which Lindy Ruff had just talked about wanting more from in previous days. And they got physical, right? We had that from the get-go, and we had great goaltending all in this game from the Sabres. It was a complete team effort. If I could just take out of the complete that the second line with Dylan Cozens is still not producing and still not playing well shift to shift. But other than that, it was an overall great team effort by the Buffalo Sabres to beat the Ottawa Senators. If you would like to chime in on your thoughts from last night's game or the upcoming game against the Rangers tomorrow night, you want some updates at practice or what we could see for the lineup tomorrow night, then be sure to subscribe to our Locked On Sabres text club. If you would like to sign up, join subtext.com/Locked On Sabres is the place to do that. And rolling through some of our texts and tweets from last night's game. A lot of sentiment, how, in agreement with me that was their best night of the season. One texter asking about Dennis Gilbert having a solid night last night. And I think Gilbert served his purpose, which is be physical, stand up for teammates, block some shots. Did you get great results when he was on the ice last night? The answer to that question is kind of a resounding no. The Sabres were outshot when he was on the ice. Not by much. At 5-on-5, it was only 6-3. Nothing crazy. Scoring chances when he was on the ice were 8-6 in favor of Ottawa. So Gilbert was fine. I didn't mind him too much. The third pair defenseman, that's not that bad, right? You get outshot. 8-6 in scoring chances while you're out there, whatever. You're kind of close to 50-50. I don't mind that. But just an overall, I thought, really strong game from the Buffalo Sabres. And I bet Lindy really liked the resolve of his team. I want to start, though, with the physicality and the energy that they brought. And that was kind of the lineup that it looked like Lindy wanted for that game. You throw Dennis Gilbert into the lineup, and you keep Connor Clifton in the lineup as well. You got Malenstein and Lafferty on the fourth line. You've got Greenway. They got a team that is capable of being physical. And against Ottawa, a team that they're wannabe Florida. They're not Florida. They're wannabe Florida. and their captain, like Florida's Kachuk, runs around and tries to get you pissed off and tries to start stuff. He tries to get you off your game. And it maybe was the opposite of what happened. Brady Kachuk got involved in multiple skirmishes in this game, a fight in the first period and then a scrum in the third period that, like, he didn't initiate. Well, I guess he did initiate the second one, but the first one, he has to run in to stand up for a teammate because Jordan Greenway ran through Tim Stützle. That was the tone set early in the game. And this is where I'm at with plays like that. If you got a player that is going to throw a hit like that, like Jordan Greenway, and that's all he does, not valuable to my lineup. But when you've got a guy like Jordan Greenway that is doing that, throwing a giant hit on their best player, but for the other, that was 1 second of the time on ice that he played last night. That one hit was 1 second. The other 17 minutes that he plays on the night, I need him to be a good hockey player. And the good thing about Jordan Greenway right now is for those 16 minutes and 59 seconds outside of that hit, you are getting really good results. You are getting puck possession. You are getting scoring chances. You're getting good defense. Jordan Greenway is giving you a lot in addition to that hit. And at a hit, then I think you can look at it and say, okay, I like that you had that last night. Ottawa looked like they were thrown off. The third period scrum that happened. That is just Dennis Gilbert flying in and going up to Brady Kachuk and saying, you are not going to slash our 19-year-old forward across the hands like that. It's not happening. So Gilbert jumps in and just got a 5-on-5 little scrum there nearing the end of the game. Sabres were very much on point, I thought, in this game a lot. We'll get to some of the goal breakdowns, some of the overall team numbers from this game. The box score numbers, the Sabres winning by 5-1. They were outshot barely 38-34. A bunch of those shots piled up at the end, though, by the Ottawa Senators. 5-on-5 numbers from this game. Shot attempts were 55-46 in favor of Ottawa. When you look at scoring chances for it, 5-on-5, Sabres actually won that battle 28-27. So they got a better quality of shots in this game. High danger chances were 10-10. So even there. And then the score at 5-on-5 was 3-1. Sabres get 2 power play goals in this game. Their power play has actually been okay. Since they finally got that monkey off their back a couple of games ago, they finally got that first goal by Zucker last week. They've actually been okay. You know, they're not great, not amazing, but they've been much better than what they had looked like before. Some of the individuals from this game, my sneaky stars of the game from this one. Let's start with JJ Peterka finding the back of the net twice in this game, including that power play goal at the end of the game. In fact, actually, I think both was the first Peterka goal power play. Yeah, the first Peterka goal was power play. So both power play goals were by Peterka. And I've got some more thoughts on those goals in a moment. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, one of my sneaky stars of this game, 30 saves on 38 shots. Like it was the best game for the Sabres of the season. I think that was the best night of Luukkonen's season. I thought he played better than any other game from the season so far. The expected goals by Ottawa in this game were 3.69. He only allowed 1. So he almost stopped 3 goals fewer than he should have. So a really strong performance from Luukkonen. And then Ryan McLeod. I threw Ryan McLeod in for my third star, which is different actually than what the media went with at the arena. The 3 stars announced at the game where Peterka is the third star, Luukkonen is the second star, Byram as the number 1 star, which I get. He scored 2 goals on the night, but I'm not saying Byram's bad. Just Byram had a wrist shot from the point that he got a little lucky on. Pucks on net, good idea, but had to get some luck on that second goal he scored. And the first one was a nice one-timer play that I'll break down next segment, but he probably should have been stopped on both of those goals by Linus Ullmark. So again, I don't want to take credit away from Byram. All I meant to say is I would put Ryan McLeod in my top 3 stars. I thought Ryan McLeod was phenomenal in this game, carrying the puck with speed, playing well in his own end. He had 2 assists on the night. The goal by Byram, the one-timer goal in the second period, McLeod sets that up through 3 Senators, works the wall right before it. So I thought McLeod was tremendous in this game, a 58.6% expected goals for percentage, which was one of the better Sabres on the night. I would have put McLeod in my top 3 stars. If you had made me put it in order, I probably would have went Luukkonen number 1, Peterka number 2, and McLeod number 3 with Byram just missing. So just talked a little bit about the Byram goal. He scored 2. Peterka scored 2. Let's go through them, breaking down those goals one by one when we return here on the Locked On Sabres podcast with Sneaky Joe DiBiase. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by PrizePicks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Puts their members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can just get my money super quick. PrizePicks now offers Venmo, quick, easy deposits, withdrawals into your account this sports season. So check out, it could be any player, Sabre player, it could be someone around the league. Think Connor McDavid, who's back practicing today, so looks like he'll be back. Will he get more than half a goal next week? Austin Matthews for more than that. Cook up hot takes with your friends. Real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Sabres win 5-1 over Ottawa. Next up, Thursday at Madison Square Garden against the New York Rangers. That is going to be a tough one. The Rangers are like one of the best teams in the NHL to start the season, but more on them on our next episode. Let's go through some of the goals. Goal breakdowns from Sabres and Senators on Tuesday night. And because they won, look at the goals they scored. Not so much at the one goal that they allowed. Let's spend more time on the positive while they give us an opportunity to look at the positive, which is not always the case. So let's take the bait while we have it. And let's start right at the beginning. First goal of the game. If you want to follow along, by the way, on the replay, on the highlights, you could do so, kind of breaking these down frame by frame almost. First period, 6:37 mark on the power play. This is after the Greenway-Tkachuk fight. Greenway runs through Tim Stützle. Amazing hit. Great, clean, open ice hit. Brady Tkachuk, nothing wrong with it, I guess. It's more ingrained in hockey culture now that even a good, clean hit, you have to answer for it with a fight, which is pretty stupid. But it's the way the league is, so you're fully expecting Brady Tkachuk, the captain of the Senators, tough guy, to jump in and fight Jordan Greenway. You didn't get a lot of action on the fight, by the way. Was there 2 thrown punches? They got in together and they were all tied up. But good on the refs, because they don't always call this, but they call the instigator penalty. They called Tkachuk for a penalty. Sabres go to the power play, and they may take that 1-0 lead. And this is a pretty simple play. There's not a lot to it. It's just a strong forecheck, applying pressure by Peterka and Jason Zucker down low. They force the turnover. Zucker gets the puck behind the net. And then it's just a nice, quick 1-2 play. Zucker sees Peterka standing close to the goal line on his left, looking out from behind the net. And then Peterka, this is a nice goal by Peterka. I'm going to give him more credit for this goal than anybody else. I know he's the goal scorer, so that sounds easy to do, but the reason this goal is impressive by Peterka is not Ullmark. Like, Linus Ullmark is kind of out of position here. He's got the net to shoot at. It's the combination of the pass and where the defenders are. When Peterka receives this pass, it is right between his feet. And that's not so easy to dig. And when you're going to your offside there, you're not necessarily on a one-timer. If he had been a righty, it would have been different. But because he's a lefty, he's going to dig this puck out from the middle of his stance. And that is not so easy to do as a shooter. And while that's happening, while he's trying to do that very quickly, he has 2 Ottawa sticks in his space. They're not very strong. I think there's one hand on each stick, so you can get the puck through them. But he's got a puck between his feet and 2 Ottawa sticks in his space. And he's able to dig it out and get it into that open spot where Allmark wasn't covering. So it's a nice finish by Peterka. Not like the greatest finish of all time, but it is a nice goal-scoring goal by J.J. Peterka. Let's skip ahead to the second period. The Sabres, great getting off to great starts in periods in this game. The 17-second mark of the second period. The Sabres scored 3 goals in the first minute of periods in this game. You're going to win hockey games when you do that. Bo Byram, his first of the night, his second of the season on this play. And this play alone is one of the reasons I put Ryan McLeod as one of my 3 best Sabres sneaky stars of the game. This is a McLeod play. Through and through. I mean, he is working the wall. He plays pitch and catch with Rasmus Dahlin, gains space for himself by doing that, and then picks his head up, and Ryan McLeod finds himself at the left wall. He's bought himself a little bit of space. He's got a second, and now it's time to make a decision. And credit to Bo Byram. Bo Byram is standing at the point, and the man covering him is Brady Tkachuk. Tkachuk gets caught watching the puck and loses Byram. Byram recognizes this. He shoots behind Tkachuk down low. This is a risky play. And this is where Lindy is not a super conservative coach. Ralph Kruger, for instance, other coaches, conservative coaches, Barry Trotz comes to mind back in the day, Jacques Lemaire. Other coaches in the NHL would not allow Bo Byram to do what he does on this play, because if it doesn't work and you turn it over, it's a 2-on-1 back the other direction. But Byram takes the risk because he sees that Tkachuk isn't paying attention. So he droops in behind Tkachuk. He's uncovered. And he is at the opposite face-off circle. And it's an open one-timer for Byram. So it's a good job by Byram getting himself in that position. But now it's up to McLeod to make the pass. And this is a whale of a pass. This is the best pass of the night that anybody made. This is a saucer pass all the way across the ice through 3 Senators. 3 Senators would have had an opportunity to knock this puck out of the air. It gets through all of them, and it lands right in Byram's wheelhouse. It is, as someone that, listen, have you ever played, I know many of my listeners have not, almost none of them have played pickup hockey with me, or beer league hockey, roller hockey, floor hockey, the NHL video game that I play. I like passing. I like a guy that makes great passes. I love that 15-goal, 60-assist guy in the NHL. I love those players. This pass, I'm just in love with it. I'm blown away with it. It's so simple. It's not even like a highlight reel play, but it is just a recognition, and it is a saucer pass through 3 guys, and it just lands in the perfect spot. I love this pass by Ryan McLeod. Byram doesn't even get an amazing shot off. Like, he gets enough on it, and he puts it in the right spot, but it's not an unstoppable save by Linus Ullmark. So Byram does have to get a little lucky, because this is a very savable puck by Ullmark. So you've got 2 things that went really well in this play. The recognition by Byram and the pass by McLeod. The shot by Byram is a little bit lacking, but the goalie helped you out there. And sometimes you got to get lucky with a goalie not making a great save. So great play overall. Loved it. The 3-1 goal. Byram again. This is a pretty simple goal. This is just, you're at the point, you're getting pressured by 2 Senators, and if you don't get the puck off your stick here, if you're Bo Byram, then it's going back the other direction for an odd man rush. So this is just a simple play. My passing lanes are covered. I'm in the center of the ice. I'm at the point. I don't want this to be a turnover back the other direction. Let me just throw it at the net. And exactly what he does in it, you got to get a little bit of luck. Good job by Jason Zucker, who had another great game. He is the net front presence on this play. So maybe part of the reason the puck gets through Ullmark is he is screened by Zucker. Zucker is really impressive right now, and he doesn't get an assist on this play, but he really should have. Greenway and McLeod got the assist on that one. 4-1 Sabres a little bit later, not far. That goal was 21 seconds into the third period. They score 16 seconds later. What a job by the Sabres. They are going into the third 2-1. How often do they blow that lead? So often. They so often blow that 2-1 lead going into the third. Just to put the hammer down in the first minute and get 2 goals to make it 4-1 and make it so that the game is basically over. You take all the wind out of the Senators' lungs. Like, it is just, like it's over at that point. The fourth goal here, Thompson on the goal, and this is just causing chaos. This is Tage entering the zone with speed. He's been very good at zone entry so far this year. Drops it off to Peterka, and Lindy has preached this. You got to score goals in different ways. You have to be able to score a couple of dirty goals. And this is a dirty goal by design. The Byram one is more the one from just before. That's a dirty goal, but that's just kind of that's just instinct. That's more happenstance. You're at the point being pressured. You've got no other choice. You've got no other play. Let me just chuck it at the net. This was a dirty goal by design. This is Thompson drops the puck off to Peterka after he enters the zone, and Peterka and Tuck make a beeline for the net. That's the play. The play is, all right, we're going to give it to you, JJ, here on the wall, and we're both going right to the net. And Peterka's shot, watch his shot back. Watch that play back. His shot is not to score at all. Peterka is never scoring on this play. The shot is low and designed to go, it maybe actually he's almost half pass, half shot because Tage is there. Maybe Peterka is hoping for a deflection, but the shot is more designed to get a rebound. And that's what he gets. Allmark kicks it out in front. And now screenshot, if you're watching the highlights along with me, or you just don't have to, you could screenshot this play right after Peterka takes the shot. And you have Thompson in front of the net, covered by Jake Sanderson. You have Alex Tuck right behind him. And that's it. You have the goalie. You have two Sabres and one defenseman. The Sabres put the Senators in an odd man situation right in front of the net where Jake Sanderson has two guys to cover because they both decided to crash the net. And that's how the goal goes in because Sanderson does his job. Sanderson, who I like a lot, a great defenseman, he covers Tage. He knocks Tage to the ground. That's not easy. Tage Thompson's 6'7". He tackles Thompson to the ground to take him out of the play. But the goal works because Tuck also crashed the net, and now there's a loose puck. He's got it on his stick, nobody around him, and he slides it in off of Tage Thompson. There's Finn for you, everybody. All right, and then finally the 5-1 goal. The game's over at this point. Just a quick one on here. It's a power play goal. And just a shout out to Peterka because that's a cross-ice pass by Tage. Really nice, but a one-timer down on one knee, top right corner. I know the game was over, but that goal is important to score going forward. I've said this about the Sabres power play this season and even going back to last year. They need an established goal-scoring threat opposite of Tage Thompson on the power play. And in this game, you had that first goal by Peterka on the power play, but this one is more a set play. He's just over on the right, waiting for the one-timer. Here it comes, blast off, it's in the net. Those are the type of goals you're going to need opponents to respect JJ Peterka on. And he definitely did that with this goal. Really nice shot by him. He scored, which means I got one leg of my parlay last night, by the way. But, we didn't cash because I gave up on it because Ottawa wasn't going to win the game. I had Sabres money line with with Peterka to score. And then also Cousins to get 3 shots on goal, which he didn't do. He only got the 2. So another day, parlay doesn't cash, but we'll get there. We're going to get one. When we come back, Lindy's decision, we're going to go before the game here. Rewind the clock. The decision to bench Mattias Samuelsson and Henri Jokiharju. Why this is important, why this is not that surprising, but why it could really be impactful going forward, that these two could be at risk of being healthy scratched. That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast with Sneaky Joe DiBiase. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's not just hockey right now. I'm watching Ovechkin every night. I'm looking at those goal-scoring props for him, get that Gretzky record. But, of course, you got football going on right now. We're a little over halfway through the regular season, and you got to tackle all that NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Maybe check out Buffalo and Indianapolis on Sunday. Bills favored by 4.5 at this point in time. That line might change, by the way, between now and then if you like it. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if your if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. Back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sabres win 5-1 over the Ottawa Senators. We broke down the game. Let's go to what happened before the game and then what's also carried into this morning. Lindy Ruff, to my surprise, I did a show previewing the game and I gave you the lineup and I included that the third pair was going to be Samuelsson and Jokiharju and that Clifton and Gilbert were expected to be the scratches. That made sense. Gilbert has played one game this year. Oh, they're not going to scratch. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't even think about it. Not one time did the thought enter my mind previewing this game after seeing the pairings at practice that Jokiharju and Samuelsson could be the healthy scratches. Thought did not enter my head one time. Warm-ups, they're not out there. Uh-oh. Well, I guess healthy scratch. That's how it was. Gilbert and Clifton go in, Bryson up with power. Samuelsson, Jokiharju out of the lineup. Lindy Ruff, who has been, keep an eye on this. This continues to happen. Not a bad thing. I love it. And as long as the players don't get offended by it, then I think it's a good thing. Lindy Ruff said post-game on scratching those two, quote, "I want those two guys to raise their standard of play. I need their standard to be a lot higher." That's Lindy holding them accountable for their play. And it sounds like Samuelsson is, at least, Jokiharju, I don't think has spoken on this, but Samuelsson wants to answer the bell. He said this morning, quote, "Obviously just frustrated, haven't been good enough if I'm in the conversations of being sat. Just have to be better on my part. I think just playing physical, being more direct, harder to play against, moving the puck quicker. I think I could be a lot better in a lot of ways, raise the standard in a lot of ways." So that's Samuelsson on his being scratched. 7-year contract. He's in year 2 of a 7-year contract, and he is right now in the healthy scratch rotation. And hey, this is what coaches do, right? They won a game with a certain lineup. I'm not expecting Samuelsson or Jokiharju to play on Thursday night against the New York Rangers. And if the Sabres start rattling off a couple of wins, maybe they don't make a change anytime soon. They'll get Samuelsson back in. They have him. They have an investment in him long term. You wish they didn't right now, but they do. And they got to find a way to make that work, make that salvageable on some front. Jokiharju, I think, is a nice player. And I actually think he's been much better than Samuelsson this year. He's had a couple of rough nights, but I've seen some good nights for Jokiharju too. I haven't seen any good nights for Samuelsson. Jokiharju is on a 1-year contract, though. And the effort to make that work might not be to the same degree. Jokiharju could be someone they trade. And I'm wondering if they're talking about that right now. That would be a pretty minor trade, I think. What are you dealing him for? A second or a third round pick if you're lucky. Maybe you're trading him for, are you trying to find a hockey trade out there? Can you find somebody that needs a defenseman, especially a right shot defenseman? Here's the thing about the idea of trading Jokiharju. Maybe we'll do more on this in another episode. He's fine. He's fine. He's not great. He's not terrible. He's fine, right? Second pair, if you need him to. He's probably better off on your third pair, but he's fine. There's a huge premium on right shot defensemen in the NHL. It's because they're rarer and rarer. It's just they don't become available all that often. Because of that, you might get something for Jokiharju. Will you get a top 6 forward? Probably not. Can you get another Jason Zucker? A guy that's more of a middle 6 forward that you probably rather have on your third line, but maybe Zucker at this point could be your top 6 forward, and you could replace Zucker on the third line with somebody that you trade Jokiharju for. It's tough, though, because they're always so crowded at forward. That's why it's like, I don't know what the deal would really be for Jokiharju, but Gilbert was fine in this game. Clifton was fine. I like Bryson. I would keep him in the lineup. But good on Lindy, and not that this is surprising. We expected this from him. He is willing to hold players accountable more than, if you want to, and by accountable, what I mean is just take ice time away. And that's what he said. Like, that's his way of doing it. Granato, I don't even know if he wasn't willing to do it, or he just didn't see it the same way. He didn't see benching guys and healthy scratching them as even a way of holding them accountable. It was more of like, what does that accomplish? Lindy thinks in a different way. So you send Jokiharju and Samuelsson to the press box. You're trying to wake them up. You're trying to be like, you're not playing this way. If you're going to play like this, you're out. And he's now done that with 3 important players: Jokiharju, Samuelsson, and Jack Quinn. All 3 have seen themselves be healthy scratched at least once so far this season. So Lindy is true to his word so far this year. If you're not going to play well, he's going to get you out of the lineup. The only guy he's not done that with yet is Dylan Cousins. And that might just be because he has no option because, well, I guess he does. Center-wise, they're okay. Cousins would be the next guy, though, to be healthy scratched if he doesn't start producing a little bit more. Yeah, Samuelsson, though, just on the long term with him, that's got to get figured out. I don't know what you do with him. I think putting him with Dahlin would get the best results out of him, but I also don't feel like he should be playing 20-plus minutes a night. So you're kind of stuck there. I think you just need to keep putting him on the third pair, maybe try to find a different partner than Clifton for him and hope that it goes a little bit better. I do think, not to make too many excuses for Samuelsson because I hate that contract right now, his best type of partner is a puck mover. Is an offensive guy, is someone he could kind of be the stabilizing force for, where he kind of sits back, stay-at-home defenseman, let the other guy do his thing, move around the ice. And Connor Clifton is the furthest thing from that. And that's the guy that he's been paired with a lot so far this year. I don't think they are a good mesh. But that's your partner. Like, you got to make it work to some degree. You're a third pair. You got to do the job. Sabres and Rangers, Thursday night, Madison Square Garden. We'll see if those 2 return to the lineup. We'll see if we have more details on that by the time we talk to you next, but I am not expecting that either one of them are going to play, just given how Lindy usually is and how coaches usually are. We'll talk about Sabres and Rangers coming up on our next show. If you want to reach out, any thoughts on today's episode, thoughts you think you disagree with, maybe agree with, and you want to add more context to, feel free to join our text club, join subtext.com/LockedOnSabres. If you want to sign up, we'll keep you updated on what's going on at practice, healthy scratches, roster moves. If we ever get a trade, of course, we'll have that for you as well. Thanks for listening to Locked On Sabres. If you want to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey for your next listen, Steal and Flip got you covered with your daily tips, or hit up Joe Marino, Locked On Bills and Colts coming your way on Sunday, and he's got you covered all the way through the week. That'll do it for us today here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.